We're the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out, as people are coming in if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk.
Experts recommend you check on your reservations frequently to get as much as advance notice of changes as possible. North Dakota Game and Fish Department fisheries biologists are encouraging ice anglers to keep fish caught from deep waters. Catch and release fishing is discouraged for fish caught in 30 feet or more. That's due to the fish reeled in from those depths have a greater chance of dying due to extreme change in water pressure. Game and Fish recommends that ice fishermen and fisherwomen targeting fish in deeper water make the commitment to keep what they catch. KFGO Weather Center forecast this afternoon, partly sunny, steadier, slowly falling temperature. Tonight we'll see a low of 2 degrees, mostly cloudy. Tomorrow, high of 16, chance for light snow in the afternoon, and blowing snow in open areas. Tomorrow night will drop to a low of 2 below. Expect areas of snow and blowing snow. Wednesday, high of 2, areas of blowing snow, flurries ending in the morning and clearing up throughout the day. I'm Madison Quinn, News Radio, KFGO.
Good afternoon. KFGO time is 2:10 Monday. The first afternoon is live after the new year. I hope it was treating you well wherever you were celebrating and got home safely. In fact, we'll talk about that because City of Fargo, I think the police department put out said 0 DUIs. Good job, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to celebrate that. But here's something that we're not going to celebrate so much. And Joel Heidkamp made the mistake of coming in here right before I turned my microphone on. Hi, Joel.
You have a cold heart. I know where this is going.
No, my question's simple. You have to keep one. You have to keep one. Everyone's talking about blow it up, start over. Minnesota Vikings, the season's done, not making the playoffs. Everyone said get rid of A, B, C, D, and everything. You have to keep one. Who do you keep? You keep Kirk Cousins, Mike Zimmer, or Spielman?
Cousins. I mean, I keep, of course, I'm one of the few that believe that Cousins can do the job. Zimmer clearly is the first one that goes. Spielman, I have a talk with my ownership team and with some consultant somewhere and somebody I trust, and I ask, okay, this guy was a master at getting draft picks, but was he a master at drafting? Right?
Right.
Yep, I mean, it's one, you can give a guy 100 picks, but if they draft Demetrius Underwood or whatever the heck his name is, you did a bad job. So that's the evaluation on Spielman. But, Cousins, I really believe that Cousins can win. I just think that the game plan stinks, and I know, Derek, who I trust immensely, Derek Hansen, he disagrees with me and many others. But first off, Cousins doesn't get hurt, right? I mean, I really respect that. Second off, the game plan doesn't allow him to just throw deep, stretch the field out.
I question, though, sometimes during the game that's being played, if he's just choosing to, does he not trust his deep ball abilities? I mean, you got somebody like Justin Jefferson, that 50-50 ball, you throw that up once or twice a game to him, but he doesn't seem to want to do that.
Well, and I think that's from previous offensive lines. I think that could be, the little jittery, that type of thing. But, I believe that the game plan is structured. These safeties, I mean, you played up in Leeds, so you know what I'm talking about. You got a safety valve, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, he ain't open. Now just dump off to him. That's just ridiculous. We call them safety valves, and it's like, take the sack before you throw a 2-yard. He'll never make the first down. You wait a little longer. Mm-hmm. Step up in the pocket.
Well, that's the thing, stepping up or creating enough. That's what I think some of these great quarterbacks are being able to extend that play a little bit more. Yeah. You think about Pat Mahomes. I mean, watching now Burrow down in Cincinnati, I mean, there is the ability to, I think, allow your offense to maybe stretch that field a little bit more.
See, I don't think that Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback. I don't think he'll ever be a great quarterback. But I can name a whole bunch of quarterbacks who have won the Super Bowl that aren't great quarterbacks. So, that part is fairly, I mean, I never thought Doug Williams was a great quarterback.
Trent Dilfer comes to mind as well with the Ravens.
Below average.
Yeah, the heck of a defense wins championships, as the saying goes. Last question for you, because you didn't expect to come on here with me. But Mike Zimmer, to me, looked like he's given up, not just this week, but the week before. He just was a man, his shoulders were down. He was like, well, I guess they played all right.
Yep.
But to throw your rookie quarterback under the bus like he did last night, I mean, he's a man that's just
inexcusable.
He's done.
Yeah. I think that Zimmer is just had it. I think that he's going to go out pouting. And I think that what he's doing right now, Tyler, is the perfect example of why he's not the right fit for any team. For any team, first off, he's, mid-60s, so here's the great new upcoming coaches in the NFL. Go to San Francisco, go to Green Bay, you can go to all kinds of places where these are young, vibrant men that when you look at them, they connect with the players of today. Right? Heck, I don't even know what music the players of today are listening to. And so you've got to hire people that connect with them. I mean, to me, the days of hiring this old, I get how Belichick has proven that he can transition and hire young people, but you've got to be able to connect with the players, and Zimmer doesn't.
When it comes to the ownership of the Will family, for whatever reason, and this is from an observation of not being very invested with the Vikings team, it seems like there is a lot of, do you say nepotism within? I mean, you got a coach. Well, then their son gets a spot on the team to where they're off doing quarterback. It just seems like there's a tight knit group that's really. So I mean, to break that up with the loyalty factor it's not going to be an easy thing. So I don't know if you one or all go. But
no, they all got to go.
Yeah, something's
Kubiak's got to go. The Will family. What I really respect about them is that they hire someone and they get out of the way. You don't hear them micromanaging. You don't hear them saying bad things about Zimmer. Not all owners do that. It seems to me that, Jerry Jones is perfect example of what not to do as an owner. So, once the Will family does what they're about to do, it's with thought in mind. They've thought it through. So the guy's gone. He's toast.
Yep. I think you recognize that as well. If I can tell any body language, I think you realize, all right, that my stint here is over.
Yeah, he's done, and he should be done. He had a chance. He had a chance, and he had players that could get the job done, and he didn't find a way to get it done.
The talent factor, that wasn't missing in this team at all. I mean, there's a lot of talent there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, thanks. I pulled you in.
I just feel great today.
Yeah, get that off your chest. Now you can go kick back, listen to Afternoons Live in the office.
There's nothing quite like having half your family be Packer fans. And you want to see my text messages from last night?
Did you make it to the end of the game? Because I ran into Tootall this morning, congratulated him. Yep. I said, you know what, this is probably the first time at a night game you stayed up later watching than I did.
Have you heard of the series Yellowstone?
Yes.
I didn't make it past
that. There was nothing there to watch.
There wasn't. So, although I missed a heck of a center catch, I heard.
Yes. That's the thing. I mean, was it Bradbury that was the immaculate reception back in the day? This was pretty identical. And it was the longest reception that the Vikings had all night.
What does that say?
That says a lot. Yeah. All right, Joe, appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you so much.
Yes. Make the mistake of coming in the studio right before I turn the microphone on. Joel Heitkamp, you can catch him here. News and Views, weekdays 8 to 11. Hey, I'm Tyler Axis. After he's live, we're just getting started. Your thoughts. I've got texts coming into 35270. You have to keep one, Vikings fans. Do you go with Kirk Cousins, Mike Zimmer, or do you keep Spielman? Only one can say you have to. It's forced upon you. Who are you going with? More Afternoons Live right after this.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two?
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack.
I'll give you a rundown of what you can expect on a Monday afternoon. And a little bit, well, in fact, there was, as I came into the studio here, there was still this, I don't know if you call it a teleconference or what, but the White House, in fact, President Biden was rolling out a plan to put $1 billion into tackling meat prices. Beef, poultry, I think, were on the list. And I'm curious on a variety of different angles how that's going to make an impact. Certainly for you as consumers, I mean, you've been watching as the price of, well, quite frankly, everything go up. But I think beef or meat prices in of itself has gone up, I think, about 6%. And they're trying to use this, and I believe it's through the American Rescue Plan, $1 billion from that was passed earlier, well, last year, I guess now, and going towards this to help out those independent producers and other things. North Dakota Farmers Union, Matt Purdue is going to be joining us in just about 10 minutes' time to give his take on that. Plus, I know there's other sides when it comes to ranchers as well, because as those 6% increases have gone up, you haven't been getting that reflected in your profit, have you? So we'll talk about that side as well. A couple other things out today, because it's Frisco week for many people. In fact, we're going to be down there on Thursday and Friday. Going to be broadcasting from Frisco, bringing you the sights and sounds of this championship run. Again, North Dakota State taking on Montana State. And in fact, Chris Atterbury, the studio host of your Minnesota Twins, yeah, he reached out. He's a Montana State guy. We might be having a little on-air banter about that, because he already sent me a shirt that he would buy and force me to wear about the Tommy touchdown. So we'll see if we can get some Bison gear for a little old Chris Atterbury, if in fact NDSU does win. But when it comes to this week, it's how can you get there? And when you look at and listen to CBS National News Updates, even our own KFGO, you're hearing about flights delayed, flights canceled. So if that's not one of the routes, but you're still wondering how you can get there, there's a couple options. One of them is going to be the Midwest Sports Tours. They've got another Frisco bus, and in fact, I think they've been doing this every year. So Mike Schmidt's going to tell you there's some limited space available for you. If you are still interested in going to Frisco, he can hook you up. But when it comes to the air travel, the delays, the cancellations, I mean, does it stress you out just even thinking about it at times? Well, Kyle Potter, he's the editor of Thrifty Travel. He's going to be joining us to kind of give the industry insight on this. So you've been hearing, because, yes, weather, but also with this Omicron variant, you've had people that have been calling in sick because, guess what? They're testing positive. And what that has done to travel across both in domestic, international, it seems like it is everywhere. I know there's people, whether it's going down to Frisco later this week or just going on a vacation or whatever, getting home from the holidays, people are making those contingency plans So we'll visit with Kyle about that. And if you've had any of that situation impact your travel, I'd love to hear from you. Phone line's going to be open all day today. Laney's studio line is 237-5948. And you can also join the text club as well at 35270. We'll wrap up today again with Sports Derek Hansen. Vikings losing last night, and it was not pretty whatsoever. And I think the writing certainly appears to be on the wall. That's why when Mr. Heidkamp came in, I want to get his take because he, of course, being the Vikings fan, me just not really having a dog in the fight, but watching from afar, it seems to me that Mike Zimmer has known that this is likely going to be his last year, just the demeanor. And to throw your rookie quarterback under the bus as he did last night while asking why he didn't play Kellen Mond earlier to see what he's got. I mean, you at least at halftime you could have made that transition, but then to come out and answer a reporter's question and then a follow-up saying, well, why didn't you? And would you like to see him next week? Basically, saying, well, I get to see Kellen every day. I mean, to me, that certainly comes off as lack of confidence and a young player and his abilities on the field. So I think just with that being the last kind of shoulder shrug, ho-hum for Mike Zimmer, I don't anticipate after next week when they play Chicago, I think that's likely going to be his last game. But we'll talk about that. The Winter Classic, which was got to be cold, and also Trey Lance getting a win as a starter over in San Francisco. Still playoff hope potential. In fact, I think if San Francisco wins next week, I don't remember who they play, that they're in the playoffs, if I remember. The playoff picture this year, the fact that a lot of it wasn't solidified till this last week, phenomenal.
Yeah,
very entertaining to watch.
If I remember correctly, Philly locked up a spot with the Vikings loss.
Correct.
And the other one is between New Orleans and San Francisco.
Yes. Come on, San Fran.
So San Fran winning in. New Orleans needs a win and a San Francisco loss to get in.
We don't want to see Taysom Hill and the New Orleans Saints in the playoffs.
So, you're right. And if New Orleans loses for whatever reason, then I think San Francisco gets in no matter what happens.
Yeah, and you know what? On the other side, on the AFC, you got Carson Wentz also playing. And I think if they win, they are in the playoffs. So, Trey Lance, Carson Wentz, both potentially getting into the NFL
San Diego
playoffs.
Already in with Stick on the bench. So
is he second or third string?
I don't know.
Justin Herbert
Yeah.
came out of what felt like nowhere a couple years ago. And I know people are expecting maybe he's going to get a little play time. He hasn't. But I don't remember if he's second or third string.
I think he's been second string. And you know, it might depend on the game situation, who they bring in. But I believe he's the quarterback that dresses.
Yeah, because, I mean, typically you don't have three out on the field. Somebody out there knows 35270. When we come back, though, I want to talk about this potential for $1 billion from the White House, this administration. I've said one of the things that has irritated me about this administration so far is they have not got people into the places where you can succeed with certain industries. I mean, we still have acting deputies across the country, including with the USDA, for example. And one of the things that they're trying to roll out this $1 billion for smaller producers. And that's what they unveiled earlier. I know they've been teasing around about it for quite some time now. But to strengthen the meat-producing supply chain ahead of a scheduled visit that they had with independent farmers and ranchers. And my question is, okay, if you have the $1 billion, what's the goal? And is it going to be well received? Is it going to help start off, say, a local butcher shop? I mean, I know that there was money out there to help change over some of the technology in some of these rural meat packaging places. So what's the intent here? We're going to be having a conversation with Matt Purdue, North Dakota Farmers Union. Also, RCAF, we might be visiting with them, if not today, tomorrow, on what they see from the ranchers' side of this. That and more coming up. I'm Tyler Axedis. This is Afternoons Live, Monday afternoon, just getting underway. We got that also. I had an interesting conversation over the weekend with an individual that says, yeah, I'm getting into cryptocurrency, like helping out a business. And I said, okay, well, explain this to me. How do you get a Bitcoin and then go buy your pound of beef that we're going to be talking about in a minute? I didn't get a clear answer whatsoever, and he's involved in it. So if you understand it, by all means, I need your help. Explain cryptocurrency to me sometime between now and 5 o'clock. This is Afternoons Live at KFGO. Stick around.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
It's 2:30, currently 7 degrees, cloudy in Fargo-Moorhead. This afternoon, we'll see steady or slowly falling temperature, partly sunny skies. A milestone that's been a long time in the making happened today at 1 o'clock. The city of Fargo and the Hector International Airport Authority officially signed a new memorandum of understanding. The approval brings an end to formal negotiations underway for more than 2 years, sometimes contentious, which changes the 50-year agreement between the city and the airport authority that recognizes a separation of city and the airport. Eric Johnson is a longtime city attorney who stepped down at the end of the year. He explains.
The relationship doesn't mean a complete separation, though, because still the airport authority is sort of an arm of the city in the sense that city commission still appoints all 5 members of the airport commission. So those are significant roles. The agreement also, though, lays out some expectations that the city has, and the airport's agreeing to it, to have a process for providing you, the city commission, on an annual basis, important information.
Another change as part of the agreement, airport employees are no longer city employees. That became effective December 31st. A 23-year-old Clearbrook, Minnesota man drove his pickup into the east side of the Loaf and Jug on Gateway Drive on the north side of Grand Forks. Police say that the driver was attempting to pull into a parking spot but didn't stop in time and slammed into the building. There was significant damage to the side of the convenience store and minor damage to the vehicle. The driver wasn't hurt, but an employee had minor injuries from flying debris and was treated on scene. The driver was issued a citation for driving under revocation and care required. KFGO News Time, 2:32 at 7 degrees. Cloudy, 7 degrees in Fargo-Moorhead. You're listening to KFGO News. An East Grand Forks, Minnesota Drug Treatment Center worker is suing the city and 2 police officers for false arrest, false imprisonment, and malicious prosecution. In early 2020, Amber Hartke was a treatment director at Douglas Place when police arrived with a search warrant for intake and discharge papers regarding a patient. Hartke's attorney says police threw her in jail after she told them patient records were confidential under state and federal laws. The lawyer contends that 5 days later, all charges against Hartke were dismissed. She is seeking an unspecified amount of damages. An influential Democrat says the Minnesota legislature can pass additional police reforms during the upcoming legislative session, despite the crime wave and it being an election year. But Representative Carlos Mariani from St. Paul says it must be part of an interconnected approach to public safety that includes proper resources for conventional law enforcement, plus parallel approaches to address mental health situations and the like.
My fear is that in an election year, depending on where you're coming from, you're going to want to probably focus on only one aspect of really what should be a 3-part approach.
Mariani says given the state has resources with a large budget surplus, and that people want to address the spike in crime as well as injustices in law enforcement. KFGO Weather Center forecast for this afternoon: steady or slowly falling temperature, becoming partly sunny. Tonight we'll see a low of 2, mostly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, chance for light snow in the afternoon, some blowing snow in open areas, cloudy and breezy, high of 16. And tomorrow night we'll get down to 2 below. Windy with areas of blowing snow. Wednesday, high of 2. Mostly cloudy and windy. Areas of blowing snow and flurries ending in the morning. Madison Quinn News Radio, KFGO.
Our Rusty Halverson rings in the new year.
Yeah.
Today's the last day. There's a clip of Curb Your Enthusiasm that today's like the last day you could say Happy New Year to somebody. So today's the last day you can say Happy New Year to somebody if you haven't seen them. So Happy New Year to you, my buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Did you ring it in nice and peacefully?
Very quietly, yes.
Were we all popping champagne bottles?
Nope, just quietly at home.
Same. We had that moment to where we looked at the clock. It's, we could power through and get to midnight, and that's what we did. But we
did
very much later than that.
Yeah, we went to a local establishment for a little bit of supper at 5. But
what was it? Was it lobster?
No. I had sirloin.
Sirloin. So it seems like
wife had salmon.
Okay, on the New Year's, on these smaller towns, you get lobster or steak. I mean, it's a phenomenal meal that they usually put out there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you've been back at it hard again today. You just were watching a very riveting, I can tell by the look on your face. So, press conference, whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah. President Biden kicking off the new year, highlighting with what the White House sees as unfair market practices by the largest meat packers in the U.S., detailing plans to diversify the meatpacking industry. Biden, Ag Secretary Vilsack, the Attorney General, all just moments ago announcing what they're calling the Biden-Harris administration's action plan for a fairer, more competitive, and more resilient meat and poultry supply chain. Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack tried to sum it up. So the nuts and bolts of it, the White House says it's going to press ahead with tighter labeling standards. Vilsack indicated could be voluntary in nature. Made in America meat products right now, meat can be labeled product of USA if it's only processed here. They're going to create a new online portal by the U.S. Justice and Ag Department to report competition law violations in the industry. $1 billion, $375 million in grants to independent meat producers, $275 million additional financing available for processors, $100 million to address inspection costs, $100 million in training for workers in the meat and poultry industry. And they also plan to collaborate with Congress on legislation aimed at making cattle markets more transparent and encouraging price negotiations. So.
Let me see if I got that initiative right. If I was able to write it down as quickly as you rattled it off, because it rolls right off the tongue, Rusty.
Oh, it absolutely does.
The Biden-Harris administration's action plan for a fairer, more competitive, and more resilient meat and poultry supply chain.
That is it.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, sure does. So,
but there's no mistake that something has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether you're a consumer or you're that rancher out there that's watching, the trend that's been there for quite something had to give.
Yeah. And, over the past year, Tyler, we've been talking about all sorts of different initiatives the administration has been trying to, address when it comes to more smaller independent processors and whatnot. So this is another link in the chain, I guess.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Matt Purdue with North Dakota Farmers Union coming up after this. So, I mean, even to hear that Merrick Garland was part of this, because we talked about the Attorney General, that lawsuit, it wasn't going anywhere. The fact that he was there participating.
Yeah, and they did mention, that online portal that would be for violations, kind of a whistleblower protection kind of thing under some new rules passed by Congress in 2020, I guess. But it would be violations of not only the Packers and Stockyards Act, but also the Sherman Antitrust Act too. So
very good. There's a lot there. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but you come back next hour.
A lot to unpack.
Lot to unpack about these meat packers.
Yeah. I see what you did
Monday
there.
afternoon, but this coffee's kicking in, my man. All right, I'll save that seat for you next hour.
Okay, thanks, Tyler.
Rusty Alverson, him, Sarah Heinrich, multi-award winning. If you want to check out more at kfgo.com, just click on that agriculture tab. CBS National News on the way. We're going to continue this conversation with North Dakota Farmers Union next.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole.
Part of our farm and ranch team here at KFGO sat in and monitored the Biden administration's rollout of, I'd say, this multifaceted approach of what they're trying to do when it comes to costs of beef, costs of poultry, and what it does for farming and ranching, especially out in the rural parts of the country. I want to dive a little bit more into this. And North Dakota Farmers Union, the largest farm organization in the state. Of course, Matt Perdue, part of that team, going to join us right now. Matt, how are you doing, man?
Doing great. Happy New Year, Tyler.
Happy New Year. Hope you were able to enjoy ringing it in over the weekend, and hard at it again, I do assume, with Farmers Union here. This $1 billion, I mean, that price tag stands out quite a bit. I know it was just freshly rolled out, but I mean, from your perspective, I mean, I was saying earlier that something had to give at some point. When you're looking at the cost that people are paying, the fact that ranchers aren't really receiving, something didn't seem right here. Your thoughts on this approach?
Yeah, well, you're exactly right, Tyler. And, we're in a situation now where 4 companies control roughly 85% of the cattle slaughter in the United States. And that creates some big challenges. And we're seeing that with really high beef prices and a system that isn't necessarily transferring those higher consumer prices onto the producer. And so we really think that the Biden administration is moving in the right direction here. Obviously, significant investments in meat processing capacity. And we talk about that consolidation in the hands of a few companies, but we also have some pretty strong geographical concentration. And so we hope this package will do for North Dakota and states like North Dakota is create new opportunities to have North Dakota cattle slaughtered and processed in North Dakota and connected to North Dakota consumers.
And Matt, when we've had this conversation off and on, one thing that gets thrown out, and I'll just throw it out there for the public to chew on at 35270. People are, Tyler, we got a legacy fund. We've got this. We've got money to have a state meat packaging plant. Now this, if I understand, when it comes to this federal $1 billion, is this going to be in the form of grants to independent producers? Do you know how the mechanism of this potential $1 billion is going to roll out?
Well, there are a few different programs that will be included within this broader package. $375 million of that will come out through gap financing, really direct funding to help small independent processors get up and running. And so, we talk about state-owned meat processing. We talk about co-op meat processing plants. Really, when you look at establishing a plant like that, the return on investment is there. It's just that the capital financing is not. And so that $375 million is going to play a really big role in getting those projects established. There's also funding in here for loan guarantees and helping those new plants access lower cost financing. But we're also talking about workforce training. We're also talking about technical assistance. So really a holistic, comprehensive package here that we believe will create the support that these plants need, not only to get established, but to be successful in the long term.
Matt Perdue, my guest, North Dakota Farmers Union. So the question I think that comes to people's minds out there that maybe they're not interested in, learning that trade, because it's tough work. It's a hard job, but I'm glad the men and women that do it, because I love my meat. If it's not a meal if I don't have a meat on it. But the question I think on a lot of people's, what's this going to do for my wallet when I go to the grocery store, when I go to the butcher shop? Does this alleviate the cost for consumers if all goes accordingly?
Well, we absolutely think it will. If you want to go to your local grocery store and buy beef that is from an animal raised in North Dakota, chances are that animal was transported to a state like Nebraska, processed there, and then shipped back to North Dakota. And so just the pure logistics of that adds a lot of cost for the North Dakota consumer. But, there's a broader conversation to be had here about competition in the industry. We think when you have more local and regional plants, you create more competition. You get fair prices for both producers and consumers. And it shouldn't be lost in this conversation that USDA and the Department of Justice and the White House are looking at ways to really enforce our antitrust laws. The Packers and Stockyards Act has been around for 100 years, yet we have this huge amount of concentration in the industry, and so we really need to ramp up enforcement there. And we're seeing signs that USDA and the Department of Justice are moving in that direction, which again we believe will benefit both consumers and producers.
That was one thing that stood out to me as well. I know that there are the attorney generals in the previous administration under Donald Trump, and then I know that they were trying to get Merrick Garland to continue on investigating whether, if not, there was the monopolistic approach going on here. The fact that Merrick Garland was a part of this rollout today spoke quite loudly to me. Happy to see that, because I think enforcing what's already there might be a good start, Matt.
Yeah, and they've been very, very clear that this is going to be collaborative between USDA and DOJ. And so you bring that antitrust perspective together with that agriculture perspective and that expertise. We think that's really, really the key here. But you're absolutely right, Tyler. I mean, it's a huge deal that the Attorney General is on the call. It's a huge deal that the White House is hosting calls like this and having conversations about this. And obviously, the funding that they've rolled out is a huge deal. And so it's really, really refreshing for us and for all of our rancher members to finally see a spotlight on some of these issues and finally see Congress and the administration looking for solutions, finally having those robust conversations that we've been having out here in the countryside for years, for decades. They're finally making their way into the hallways of Congress and the administration.
Well, I know that's a gripe that I've had for quite some time is, it seemed like they spent an awful lot of time maybe talking about us, but not really with us. And the fact that we've got players, I think, kind of across the board having a conversation, that spotlight where many of us have had, but now the fact that it's in, like you say, Congress and the White House, long overdue, because prices have been increasing for quite some time, and people have been noticing. I mean, when you're talking about 6% more expensive to buy, meat at this time than it was, say, last year, it takes its toll, Matt. But you know that as well. Anything else about this plan or anything else egg-related before I let you go?
Well, I would just say, as everybody is complaining about the amount of snowfall we've had, great to see some good cover out there on the ground, especially in the eastern half of the state. Hopefully we can avoid a drought situation next year and really get moving onward and upward with both our cattle producers and our grain growers and row crop growers in the state. So looking forward to a great 2022 and appreciate the opportunity to join you, Tyler.
Well, thanks for taking some time. I'm sure we'll do it again soon, all right? I'll let you go. You take care.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you bet. Matt Purdue, North Dakota Farmers Union, your thoughts. You can send those into 35270. Lanny's studio line open as well at 237-594. Going to get you that weather update from Too Tall Tom Schmansky. We'll wrap up hour number 1 of Afternoons Live next.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on the MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
From It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too Tall Tom.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Right before the show started, we'll be talking about ways you can get down there and ways it might be a little bit more difficult to get down there this go-around. First go, NDSU Athletics putting on FCS Championship tickets still available. So there are still tickets available for the title game taking place Saturday down there. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. We do have a couple of things. We've got Mike Schmitz. He's with the Midwest Sports Tours. They've got a bus they've been doing every year. There's still a few spots available on there, so we'll tell you about that if you are so inclined to go down on the bus. Also, if you're thinking about traveling via flight, getting on that plane and getting the tickets, hearing repeatedly every half hour, whether it's a CBS News update locally here, especially when it comes to the Minneapolis airport. I don't know that I've heard much when it comes to Hector here in Fargo, but flights. Have you seen the lines? Where was it in? I think it was Denver this weekend, in which, of course, you can see everything on TikTok or whatever social media you're on these days, in which there was hours and hours and hours of the line formed for the TSA help desk because of all these delays, these cancellations. It sounds like a nightmare to use that method right now. And I'll be curious when Kyle Potter joins us with Thrifty Travel. Is there an end in sight? Are you going to get back to, do I dare say, normal when it comes to, flying somewhere? I mean, there's always been hiccups. There's always been delays, but it's certainly amplified over the last 3-4 weeks. Now, granted, you have the holidays, so you had an uptick in travel. You also had an uptick in this Omicron variant when it comes to COVID. That's impacting the staff, not only those that, say, fly the plane, make sure you're comfortable in the plane, but also those working behind the desks. I don't recall who was telling me that there was only a half full, 60% full on one flight because they had one person available to check you onto the flight, for example. So all of it just seems like a perfect storm of chaos when it comes to flights. So we'll talk with him about that. In the meantime, whatever you want to talk about at 35270, I am here for you, whether that's the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene, speaking of social media, was banned from Twitter over the weekend. I think she got a 24-hour suspension on Facebook, and people are screaming again that this is some infringement on her First Amendment, which is not at all the case. It's a private company. I mean, it would be as though somebody coming on to your property, throwing up a yard sign there without your permission. You say, no, get out of here. They repeatedly do it. You have measures to which that you, with your property, your private aspect of this, can say, look, no longer allowed on here. I mean, that is in essence what these social media platforms are doing to people that violate the rules. And if you are on those platforms, just like I am, there are rules that they have you agree to. And if you're knowingly, consistently violating those, I don't care if you're a congressman or woman, or if you're a CEO, or if you're just Joe Schmo in the middle of whatever county that you're listening to me in right now, you have the same rules. Why should a congresswoman, in this case, have more leniency on these private platforms than anybody else? But that's the argument that some are trying to say. Now you've got candidates for office saying, you know what, we gotta punish places like Twitter or YouTube, whatever platform is. That doesn't really sound free market to me. And if it does for you, I'd love for you to explain it to me. The Laney studio line going to be open. Of course, you can text into 35270, where I do have messages about the NFL. I've got messages about the cryptocurrency, all of that, and whatever else you want to get off your chest. You, me, this microphone, your cell phone, right here on KFGO.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did
JJ
you
Gordon
see
from
that
It
game?
Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this
Paul
morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things.
Do a little on this date at 3:05. Thanks for keeping it locked into KFGO. I'm Tyler X. This is your host, Eric Johnson, our producer. Today was a pretty big day for a number of things.
Jan 3, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
January 3rd. The game Plinko debuted on The Price is Right on this day.
A classic. Would
That's
that
the
be the
best
one
game.
you would want to play most?
Absolutely, because when you think about The Price is Right, you have the games where, when's the last time I went to the grocery store? I know that there was an individual that had it down to a science.
Yeah, memorize the prices of
Is that
everything that they use.
Netflix documentary or something?
I think it's called The Perfect Bid. And I could be wrong about that.
See, but I just want to leave it to chance, man. I just want that plastic coin and that pegged board.
Try to get that 10K.
Hearing that plink all the way down. Yes, Plinko was by far the game you wanted. Now, the one you did not want was the whole little guy that climbed the mountain, the yodeler.
The mountain climber, but also great music associated with
great
mountain
music,
climber.
but boy, that just stressed me out. You'd have his little yodel going on up. So,
what about the putting game? Do you trust your putting skills?
No, I do not. Remember, I told you I grew up on sand greens. That has forever ruined my short game. So no, if Bob Barker had his little skinny microphone and said, "All right, well, we're doing the putting game,"
you're gonna want to get that absolute closest putt.
Yeah, take Lyle over here. He's up. Also on this date, Unsolved Mysteries premiered in 1987. That show scared the hell out of me as a kid, but I watched it, and the USA Cable Network was founded. Which, in the 90s, USA Network had some bangers of shows. I think about Weird Science, Pacific Blue. You had wrestling on. Speaking of wrestling, we're going to be getting you some tickets to WWE going on at the Fargo Dome. All that and more coming up after this KFGO News.
KFGO News, mostly cloudy. Fargo-Moorhead, it's 7 degrees. I'm Paul Jurgens. A man suspected of having a role in last week's shooting at Mall of America that left 2 people wounded has been arrested. Bloomington police said the 19-year-old St. Paul man was arrested in Roseville. The arrest occurred at a motel. The man was seen leaving the mall with the shooting suspect and was arrested on possible charges of aiding and abetting assault. Injuries to the 2 wounded men were not life-threatening. Police are still looking for the main suspect. Fargo's Hector International Airport has seen flight delays and some cancellations in recent days, but significant delays and cancellations continue at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. Kyle Potter is with the travel company Thrifty Travel.
It's clear that the primary factor is that airlines are really short-staffed because of the Omicron variant, infecting crews and flight attendants and pilots, and they just don't have enough staff to get all of the travelers who are moving around the country right now.
Potter recommends if you have a flight schedule, check ahead frequently to ensure your schedule is not changed. Most airlines notify travelers about any changes through email or text. An East Grand Forks, Minnesota Drug Treatment Center worker is suing the city and 2 police officers for false arrest, false imprisonment, and malicious prosecution. In early 2020, Amber Hartke was a treatment director at Douglas Place when police arrived with a search warrant for intake and discharge papers regarding a patient. Hartke's attorney says police threw her in jail after she told them patient records were confidential under state and federal laws. The lawyer contends that 5 days later, all charges against Hartke were dismissed. Hartke is seeking unspecified damages. East Grand Forks city officials have not responded to the lawsuit. The final 2021 report on a monthly survey of business leaders in 9 Midwest and Plains states shows the region's economy continues to improve going into the new year, with confidence in the economy over the next 6 months soaring. The overall index for December of the Creighton University Mid-America Business Conditions grew to 64.6. That monthly survey covers Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Oklahoma, and South Dakota. KFGO Weather Center forecast. We may see a bit of the sun yet this afternoon. Mostly cloudy then tonight, and 2 above for the overnight low. Temperatures then steady or slowly rising. Cloudy tomorrow, a chance of light snow tomorrow afternoon. We may see some blowing snow in open areas. 16 for the afternoon high. And windy tomorrow night, areas of snow, blowing snow, 2 below. Mostly cloudy, windy for Wednesdays. Blowing snow, flurries should end, high of 2 above. 8 below Thursday, partly sunny. 6 degrees, Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
It's a simple question. What game would you have preferred on The Price is Right? If Plinko was created, introduced on this day, which is my go-to. I want Plinko if I'm getting called down, I guess. And I'm not doing the $1 over, that jerk move when you're in the bidder's row.
But would you do a single dollar if you think everybody else is over?
Yeah, that seems that's okay given how things operate. You can do the $1, but you don't do the $1 over the person that's next to you. That's a jerk move.
Yep.
So no, you get out there, you get on there, and your fingers are crossing. Okay, what is Bob Barker? And I go with Bob because I haven't really watched since Drew Carey took it over. I mean, it was I'm homesick from school. I've got some Campbell's chicken noodle soup and maybe a 7-Up.
Yep.
And I'm watching Bob Barker on The Price is Right. The fingers crossed is, boy, it better be Plinko behind that. Or there was a dice one too.
Yeah, the dice one was fun.
Was okay.
The punching out the numbers. That one always I found entertaining. Where you guess the first two and last two numbers of a car.
Yeah,
I liked
then
that one.
They honk if you're close or how many you have right. Okay, so those are, again, but when it comes to that yodeler.
It's Plinko.
It's got to be Plinko. Because it takes no knowledge of how expensive things are. It's just sheer chance.
Right. Now, there's a couple that would be super fun to win, and I'm going to bring it back up because the putting one, if you bombed a 20-foot putt and sunk it and won, you could do the Tiger Woods fist pump.
But if I win on any of these games, I'm pumped.
Yeah.
How heavy do you think that wheel was?
It looks like it's got to have some weight to it.
You see some people jumping up top there and pulling down. It doesn't spin that much.
And then there are the people that seem to, it's going to fly off its hinges and go into the crowd.
35270. That's a simple question. While you're sending that in, I'll get to some of the other messages. I just think that whoever created that game and why they accepted it on Price is Right, because it doesn't really fit with the model of the whole show.
No, I mean
you got putting game.
You got extra chips if you could guess prices right.
I
think it was like a higher.
You could guess
which
the
one?
price right.
I think it was like two products and which one's more expensive or less expensive, and that's how you got extra Plinko chips.
Wouldn't you dig into the bag and pull out there? What am I confusing
Oh
this
yeah,
with?
the mystery bag. Boy,
what was in the mystery bag?
It's been a long time. I also haven't watched since the
Bob
Barker days, so I remember the velvet bag full of the chips.
And it had chips, but I don't remember, was that part of Plinko or was that something else?
No, because I think Plinko had the little thing that they'd spin around, and it had two products on it, and you had to say which one was more expensive, and that's how you got the extra chip.
Probably should have done our homework before we came on singing the praise of Plinko. It's been a little while. We digress. 35270. Also, Laney Studio line 237-594. And I was mentioning earlier before CBS National News about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it's one of those I've pounded this table. I've shouted in this microphone. I typically don't understand why news follows her. News follows AOC on the Democrats. You have these candidates that, for those of us in the Midwest, or that are not constituents, why? Why do I get this force-fed to me every day? Well, over the weekend, Marjorie Taylor Greene got kicked off Twitter forever. And, in fact, I think 24 hours on Facebook, she's been suspended. And instantly and predictably, you had people coming out saying it was infringing on her First Amendment. They're trying to censor her when, in fact, she's a congresswoman that has a variety of platforms at her disposal that she can communicate with her constituents far above and beyond what any of you probably have right now, because she's a congresswoman. She can use her franking. She can send you literally direct mail in your district. But the rest of us, why should we care? But what she was doing was violating the terms and conditions of these platforms by spreading lies. In particular, I think on the latest one here, wasn't about the election. It was about COVID-19. The misinformation there. You call it misinformation. You can say it's lies. It was violating the terms. And as a private business, as Twitter and Facebook and other social media platforms are, they can kick you off their platform. It's a private business. You can say things And then you can expect to have the response to what you said. And sometimes that means getting thrown out of wherever establishment you might be. It might mean you get deplatformed on social media. They're well within the right to do this. And my question that I had for you is, with all the outcry that happens when it's somebody in political office, why do they have, or why should they, in your mind, have the ability to do this while others, average Jane and Joe, don't? I mean, they should be held to the same standards you and I and anyone else listening right now should have on these platforms. So, yes, if she's going to go out there and violate those terms knowingly over and over and over again, she deserved to get kicked off. So this outcry that, geez, an infringement on a First Amendment, it's not accurate. And if you think I'm wrong, by all means, you're welcome to explain it to me. Tyler, freedom of speech allows you to say what you want. It doesn't allow you to say it wherever you want comes into the text club. This was the way it was when others have been, quote, deplatformed. It's not the government censoring. It's not the government kicking her off. It was the platform of which they have to have you agree to utilize and stay within their standards. And if you violate that, be gone, is my attitude towards it. And I would say the same thing if I'm knowingly doing it. I'd be off there as well. Tyler, I do believe Marjorie Taylor Greene has a congressional Twitter account. So she still has her congressional Twitter, but does not have her private. So then all this whining about it makes even less sense to me, because she still has the platform. She just doesn't have her private account. More messages coming in. I'll get back to those right after this. You got a locked in Monday afternoon rolling on. I'm Tyler Axis. Stick around.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily
Got a couple of guests joining us in just a little bit. One talking about a bus down to Frisco. Still tickets available for that ride down. And also this whole flights cancellation. Kyle Potter's going to be our guest, and he just tweeted out that there's been up to 2,800 plus flights canceled today alone. So he'll be giving you the insight. That's an uptick, ladies and gentlemen, and judging by his account, this is only getting worse. So we'll visit with him about that. Tyler, they should. This one stood out to me of the variety of messages we have got into 35270 about deplatforming, if you want to call it that. Tyler, they should not only be held to the same standard, but government officials should be held to a much higher standard. McCarthy won't do it, so good private business owners will. All right, and I think that the argument that standards, I mean, we used to hold higher expectations, I think, for those that wanted to be public servants. You used to have the honorable in front of those. When you'd send a letter, the honorable so-and-so, and you expected them to act honorably in the office and whatever means of which they communicated with their constituents and others. And that has been gone for some time. In fact, I think I asked that question last week or the week before of when that started. In particular, when it comes to those that are either wanting to be in office or those who are in office. And it's not the standard of which it once was. So, but I think you're right saying we should expect that. But we've come to, unfortunately, accept less and lower standards for whatever reason. And I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why. Why, when you have somebody that's supposed to be of that caliber that they're serving you, we're supposed to be sending our best, right? And I don't know that we necessarily are in some of these cases. And a number of people were telling us what the 3 strikes one is for. The 3 strikes was the game for the car, which we're talking about. So we were half there, sort of, because we talked about the car, we talked about the 3 strikes. We didn't put them together. Now we know. Still probably playing that game, I imagine, with Drew Carey behind the helm as well. 35270. You can also call in the Laney studio line at 237-5948. A couple other things that the cryptocurrency coming in. I'm going to save that for a little bit here, just because with the time, and we're going to be switching gears about this Frisco trip. But when it comes to this $1 billion rollout that we were visiting with Matt Perdue, and in fact, Rusty Alverson sat through much of the White House, the administration rolling out. There's a couple angles here. One, do you have the people in place to actually make this work at the state level? It's something that the appointments have been slow. I know they've been focused on judges. They've actually been very successful under this administration getting judges, especially at that federal level, into those roles. I think actually the Biden presidency has gotten more judges in the first year than in over 40 or 50 years. So, all right, if they're going to focus on that, I get it, but you can't just then not get those nominations out to digest a little bit. If you're talking about $1 billion in grants, right? Or some of which are grants, when we're hearing $375 million in grants for independent meat producers, don't you want to have the point of contact at the state level? Those directors for the USDA or those directors for pick any other point of contact. We just aren't there yet. And I don't know why this administration is getting a pass with that for those that are out there needing kind of that go-between between them and those out in Washington. This has been a slow turnaround when it comes to them getting those members in place. And you cannot blame it for the Republicans in the Senate. I know the last time we had this conversation, that was thrown my way, saying that they're obstructing. They haven't named these people. I mean, so the Republicans in this U.S. Senate, albeit maybe would stand in the way for some of these nominations, they can't do that without names being presented to them on any given appointment, whether it's USDA, the attorneys, U.S. attorneys across the country. There is just so much vacancy out there, and we have so many people that have acting in front of their titles. I think, albeit having $1 billion and some of which going out to grants sounds good, and that those that might utilize it as far as actually being meat producers, those ranchers, and I know the organizations and associations that try to guide them through, you still need to have these people in place. So get rolling with it is what I'm frustrated with. But here's something that I want to ask you if you noticed, because there are people right now listening that throw out, well, Biden's really just doing the bidding of, other people. And when we're throwing out what this is going to be called, this announcement, the Biden-Harris administration's action plan for a fairer, more competitive, and more resilient meat and poultry supply chain. I don't know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we can even go back to the Trump administration of throwing the vice president's name onto these rollouts. That stood out to me. I don't remember seeing that in previous times. Did I just miss it? Was it the Trump-Pence something or other? Because with everything that goes out there, I just don't remember seeing the addition of that vice president. Now, maybe this administration, has a different approach. You have the first female vice president taking part of this. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into this as we talk about the prospects of 2024, for example. I mean, the question is being raised whether or not Joe Biden's even going to run for re-election in that time frame. People are saying he's looking tired already. And, well, some people are saying that before even getting the job. But having that signal out there, am I reading too much into it, I guess is the question I've got for you. Or did you pick up on it? Because it seemed unusual. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe you're reading into it as much as I am. 237-594. Again, Lady Studio Line, but you can also text in to 35270. Message, Tyler, dumb righties censor themselves with Let's Go Brandon. Okay, I think that was tongue-in-cheek. For the life of me, and I'll move on here because we're going to talk Frisco and talk about travel here in just a minute. Then we'll wrap up the week in sports with Derek Hansen here. But to have these members of Congress or even members of the White House go out there and knowingly violate just because they think that they're entitled to it because of their own title before their name, it doesn't sit well with me and why they want to gripe and then turn around and get you angry about it, saying that they're being wronged, that they're actually the victim, and then send the money. I don't know. It's got to be working for him, but I just don't know why you keep falling for it. Explain it to me, along with all these other messages. Afternoon's live. It is 3:27 Monday afternoon after a holiday break. Thanks for keeping it locked in. We're going to get you caught up with KFGO News. Rusty Halverson, a text message came in last week. Rusty Halverson did the research because he had asked about this whole California, this Prop 12. Somebody messaged asking questions about that last week. He got a response for you. Chuck Grassley, speaking of a U.S. Senator, going to be giving his thoughts on that whole industry right after we check in with KFGO News. I'm Tyler Axis. Stick around.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold.
News and weather this hour is brought to you by Bradfield and Equitable Agri-Finance, providing long-term fixed-rate financing to America's farmers and ranchers.
Fargo-Moorhead, mostly cloudy. It's 6 degrees. I'm Paul Jerkins. The National Weather Service has now issued a winter storm watch from tomorrow afternoon through Wednesday morning. Fargo-Moorhead tonight, mostly cloudy. KFGO meteorologist Tom Szymanski is expecting a low of about 2. Minnesota teachers are bracing for what they expect will be an increase in coronavirus cases. Minnesota Rural Education Association Director Bob Indahar says superintendents have expressed concerns about the Omicron variant. In Roseville, schools have been closed for 16 consecutive days over the winter holidays. Statewide, education leaders are encouraging families to get their students tested for COVID-19 and vaccinated before returning to classes. Governor Walz says he, his wife, and teenage son are now out of quarantine after they all tested positive for COVID-19.
We were in isolation, so it was a very quiet Christmas. We didn't get to get our college student home to be with us, so she was with relatives, and we got over it after Christmas. We did our quarantine, and we were able to get together this weekend with the family a little bit.
Walz had mild to moderate symptoms. He says he's now trying to backtrack to determine if he or other family members spread the virus to others. 6 degrees. This is KFGO News. Six degrees. This is KFGO News. The bitter cold is considered prime time for warm-up thefts. Drivers want to warm up their vehicles before they hit the road, but it might be a big mistake. Fargo Police Lieutenant Jim Kringley says that many times those vehicles are left running with keys inside, making them easy targets.
They'll wait for a crime of opportunity. And unfortunately, not only do we deal with the stolen vehicle, but a lot of times criminals use them to escape capture because they will go commit other crimes, say burglaries or things like that, and ditch the car because they have stolen. It leads to more crime, but every winter we run into this problem because of the cold weather.
The City of Fargo and the Municipal Airport Board that runs the airport have signed an agreement that gives the airport more independence. Formal negotiations went on for more than 2 years, and at times they became contentious. The city and Hector International Airport Authority now have a memo of understanding that changes the 50-year agreement between the two. The airport authority will take over services now provided by the city, including those related to finances, information services, payroll, and other human resource services. Airport employees are no longer considered city employees. A man suspected of having a role in last week's shooting at Mall of America that left 2 people wounded has been arrested. Bloomington police said the 19-year-old St. Paul man was arrested in Roseville. The man was last seen leaving the mall with a shooting suspect and was arrested on possible charges of aiding and abetting assault. Injuries to the 2 wounded men are not life-threatening, and police are still looking for the primary suspect. North Dakota Game and Fish Department fisheries biologists are encouraging ice anglers to keep fish caught from deep waters. Catch and release fishing is discouraged for fish caught in 30 feet or more because fish from those depths have a greater chance of dying due to extreme change in water pressure. Game and Fish recommends that anglers targeting fish in deeper water make the commitment to keep what they catch. And once they reach their limit, anglers should stop fishing at that depth to avoid killing more than their limit. KFGO Weather Center forecast from meteorologist Tom Szymanski. Fargo-Moorhead mostly cloudy tonight. Our overnight low about 2 degrees, then steadier, slowly rising temperatures. High of about 16 tomorrow, cloudy, breezy, chance of light snow tomorrow afternoon. Winter storm watch going into effect tomorrow afternoon. It'll run through Wednesday morning. Windy tomorrow night, cloudy, areas of snow and blowing snow, and 2 below for the overnight low tomorrow night. Mostly cloudy, windy Wednesday, areas of blowing snow. Flurries should end in the morning, high of about 2, and then partly sunny Thursday, below 0 again, near 8 below for the overnight low. And again, winter storm watch going into effect tomorrow afternoon. It'll run through Wednesday morning, KFGO's Tom Szymanski looking for 1 to 3 inches of accumulation locally with mention of blowing snow. 6 degrees, Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
Rusty Alverson joins me back in the KFGO studio.
Yes, sir.
Last week, we had a listener throw a question out for you.
Yeah.
You did your homework by the looks of it.
Yeah. In regards to California, did a little investigating, talked to a good source.
What did you uncover? What did your source have for you?
Well, it turns out the Supreme Court could decide this week whether or not to hear a challenge to California's Prop 12 by 2 farm groups, the American Farm Bureau and the National Pork Producers Council. Prop 12 imposes new housing space requirements for breeding sows and hens, and the groups that are suing contend that California's law is an unconstitutional burden on farmers and consumers throughout the United States, not just California. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, representing the nation's biggest pork-producing state, hopes the court takes up the case. Now, the law did go into effect, on Sunday. State officials, though, said to be working on a final set of regulations still. Grassley is sponsoring legislation called the Exposing Agricultural Trade Suppression Act to prohibit state and local governments from interfering with ag production in other states. And the good senator took to Twitter ahead of the weekend, calling this...
He still has access.
Yeah, he has access still. He calls California's Prop 12... the war on breakfast. Yep. So
you could you hear the eye rolls through the airwaves? Maybe you saw it well on YouTube.
Yeah. Lawmakers in Massachusetts, by the way, Tyler, they decided last month to delay similar rules in that state until August 15th because they are concerned about the shortage of pork products in their state.
Well, and the fact that the Supreme Court getting involved, you think about interstate commerce. That,
yes.
Yes. It's not far of a stretch, I would imagine, for them to have a case.
Yeah, their case was denied in a district court and an appellate court, but now it has perhaps maybe could be heard by the Supreme Court, but we are still awaiting word on that.
Okay. Well, one word does come back on that. We'll hear it from you right here.
Okay, sounds good.
Rusty Alverson, best in the biz, him and Sarah Heinrich, multi-award-winning journalists of agriculture. KFGO.com, again, is where you can go for more of their work. CBS National News on the way. And you know what? We got a game on Saturday. Many of us heading down there. If you are still trying to figure out how to get there, you want someone else to do the driving for you, Mike Schmidt's going to join us. They have got Midwest Sports Tours. They've got that Frisco bus. Yeah, yet another year running. We'll tell you about that next.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know. To me, it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years. And I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen, Couch
790.
Potato Radio.
JJ
Did you
Gordon
see that
from
game?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this
Paul
morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Two tall tops,
Joel
man.
Heitkamp here on the
Sure,
Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need.
At the top of the hour, we're going to be talking about the cancellations when it comes to flying places. Maybe some people are thinking about flying down to watch a national championship game. We got other options for you. Midwest Sports Tour has been doing this Frisco bus for quite some time. In fact, I believe every year here to tell us more about that. And if you want to get on that bus, he'll tell you how. Mike Schmitz with Midwest Sports Tours. Mike, how are you doing?
Great. Doing great.
Are you eager to get on down? Yeah, thanks for coming on. Are you eager to get down to some maybe warmer weather here by the end of the week?
Well, I mean, that's nice. We got a good reason to go. Also, we've done this trip since year one. So
you guys have it down.
Yeah. Yeah, we found the ins and outs. We found places we love going to. We know kind of what fans want, and excited to be back.
Well, let's talk about it. If people have not, there are some people that are hoping that this trip is going to be their first time down to Frisco because they've watched from home. This might be their first time. Maybe they didn't hear about this Frisco bus provided by Midwest Sports Tours. Explain the package to them if they're interested here.
Yeah, so the whole idea is we take care of pretty much everything. So buses start from Bismarck, make pickups along the way. We do obviously pick up a good chunk of our fans in Fargo. That's all Thursday afternoon. Make our way down. We get down there Friday about lunchtime. Plenty of time to take in the sights and sounds. We take you to the game Saturday, tailgate with food and drinks. That's all included. Everyone gets a T-shirt. Our own custom shirts just for our group. 2 nights hotel. Basically, we put you in all the action and take the worry out of most folks.
Well, and that's the thing, that peace of mind of, all right, someone else is getting me to and from. You're going to be fed. You're going to have a place to stay. I mean, everything pretty much right there. It kind of seems like a no-brainer, especially for those that, you just want to go, you want to watch the game, you just want to have a good time. Let somebody else deal with all that hustle and bustle. That's what exactly this Frisco bus is going to do for you. So, I mean, if just an individual, or do you have to buy a pair of tickets? Is it just, hey, an individual could come?
No,
explain that to me here, Mike.
Yeah, I have several single riders. Sometimes we pair them together. If there's 2 gentlemen or whatever that we're willing to share a room. The break on the price is just how many people are dividing up the room. If you split a room with someone, that's really where the breakdown comes through. So if you are traveling by yourself, we can accommodate you too. You're just basically paying, for 2 nights hotel by yourself. That's the only difference.
Okay. And what prices are we looking at this year there, Mike?
Yeah, tickets start at Our spots start at $509, I guess, is the most common. It is a little bit more. That'd be 2 to a room, all the way down to $459 per person if you have like a quad occupancy.
Very good. People are interested. They want to. You said that it comes through Fargo Thursday, get down to Frisco Friday around lunchtime. People want to look up, maybe get their spot. Where do they go, Mike?
Yeah, you check out our Facebook page. It's Midwest Sports Tours on Facebook. That's the best bet for all the details. We'll start adding highlights here in the next couple of days of stuff that we have in store for these folks. We always have some surprises. So,
very good, enticing. That's a tease for you, ladies and gentlemen. So you can go to the Facebook page. Is there a cutoff as far as look? We want to know the number of people going with by a certain time. I mean, is it 2 days? Do we have 3 days? Explain that before I let you go.
Yeah, I mean, our second bus is filling up quick, especially with the talk of airline cancellations and scares. So I would expect Monday night, Tuesday by noon, we're probably going to be sold out.
Well, get them all the last, and that's why I wanted to get you on today, Mike, because a new time was ticking. But as you just said, and we're going to find out more from an industry expert, those that are considering flying, it's not the heartache. That's what you guys take care of it. You get them to and from, and it's going to be simple. So if they give you peace of mind, get on down there and watch the Bison play the Bobcats. Mike, anything else before I let you go?
No, just excited. If you haven't been, it should be a bucket list, even if you're not, an NDSU fan. But if you're from up here, it's quite the sight to see. Everyone should do Frisco at least once. And we don't know, but it's not like we know we're going to go another 8 times. If you would have said we'd go 9, 8, 10 years ago, I would have said, yeah, right. But here we are, and we're ready to take you. So
I'm right there with you. I remember going down that first year, be like, okay, well, you just never know. And now, like you say, some of us have done this so many times. You know where you stop on the way. You know where you're going when you get there. So yeah, it's become kind of that annual event that if you have not been at least once, this is the way to do it for you. Mike, I'm going to let you go. Good luck, and we'll see you down there. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you. Mike Schmitz. He is with Midwest Sports Tours. Go to their Facebook. If you're interested in getting that trip down there, they take care of the most inconvenient part by getting you to and from. So you don't even have to worry about that. You can just enjoy yourself and your company on your way down. Speaking of weather, Too Tall Tom Schmancy is going to get you that weather update. We'll wrap up hour number 2 of Afternoons Live right after this.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, Volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out, as people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. I got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Paul Jerkins, News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
These things did kind of have the wheels come off here. My question for you: did you plan on going, and has anything changed your mind, whether it's travel or with cases on the rise? I saw earlier, for example, today after the show started, that in Texas the 7-day positivity rate was about 34%. down there. Their rolling average is one of those things you probably never expected you'd hear on a regular basis, but lo and behold, here we are talking about those rolling averages. But 34% is quite high. So this certainly has been still on some people's minds. Now I get it, not on everybody's mind. I know of some people that were planning on doing a cruise, for example, saying, well, at least this one you have to have proof of vaccination. But even with those protocols, I mean, things have changed. But I guess my question is quite simple. Did you think about going, whether it's to Frisco or elsewhere, and have you changed your mind and changed your plans sometime within the last month? I've heard it from two people. That way I was going to go, but I canceled things. I don't know that it's as widespread as what some would want you to believe or some do believe. But if you are, or if you know somebody, I'd love to get your reasoning as to, is it the travel delays, which are all caused, or not all, but a large part of it caused by this COVID variant. Some of it, yes, by the holiday travel, but also this weather that we just heard a little bit more about. But if you are one of those that said, you know what, with all this, I'm skipping out, let me know at 35270. We'll be following along with this. It's been on the back of minds. I mean, we talked about it last week about whether or not things would impact this game coming up because of how rapidly the environment around everything has changed. So it was on people's minds. I don't know if it has deterred you, though. Again, I've only heard from two, and if you are one of them, I want to hear from you. We will switch gears here at the top of the hour. We're going to get you caught up with CBS National News. But with all these delays, cancellations, the notion of jumping to the airport, and I'm not meaning all of them because I don't know that I've heard much from Hector, but I know earlier today you were hearing during the KFGO news updates, particularly in the morning hours, that Minneapolis, St. Paul, the international airport there, had flights canceled, and they've been growing ever since throughout the day here. One of the people that talks at length about this with Thrifty Travel is Kyle Potter. He's known to the area. He's been involved with, I think, the forum when it comes to just being a journalist here. Well, he's taken that on to just the travel industry, in particular when it comes to flying. So I'm going to get the latest. Does he see anything in the near future that's going to alleviate the congestion we have when it comes to you getting on your plane on time and getting to your destination or your adjoining flight on time? Because that whole bottleneck, the whole domino effect of not getting to your next stop, it's just got to be driving people to their limit. And I think we were already pretty much there in the first place. So Kyle's going to break that down for us. Then, of course, since it is Monday, we'll break down the weekend that was in sports. Derek Hansen, hosting Couch Potato Radio. We'll recap the Vikings. We'll talk about the Winter Classic, Trey Lance, Carson Wentz. Is all on the table. And plus, if you want to add anything to the conversation, you are welcome to do so. I'm Tyler Axis, your host. Eric Johnson is your producer. We are listening to Afternoons Live on 790 AM and 104.7 FM KFGO.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, We went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Roberson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug here with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on the MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
4:05 on the Monday. Time for a fact checker at 4. This one I saw in real time, so I'll ask my producer, Eric Johnson. I'm Tyler Axis. Thanks for keeping it locked into KFGO. Did Ted Cruz, U.S. Senator from Texas, confuse Washington State with Western Australia in an anti-Democrat tweet?
Ooh, was it because there is a Walla Walla in both, I think. So is that possible? Maybe, but I'm going to say no.
No, he did. It was the tweet had blue state Dems are power drunk authoritarian killjoys. Washington State, no dancing allowed. And it was dancing was strictly not permitted on New Year's Eve, but it was not in Washington State. It was in Western Australia. But he quickly deleted that after getting
unfortunate
dunked on, as the kids say on Twitter. So yeah, that one is true. He tried to erase it, but the internet doesn't forget sometimes. Let's get you caught up with KFGO News. Talk about all these canceled and delayed flights next.
KFGO News, mostly cloudy, Fargo-Moorhead at 4:06. It is 5 degrees. I'm Paul Jurgens. Winter storm watch from tomorrow afternoon through Wednesday morning. KFGO meteorologist Tom Szymanski is looking for new snow accumulation of 1 to 3 inches. Governor Walz says coronavirus cases due to the fast-spreading Omicron variant will most likely race through Minnesota's public schools in the next few weeks, now that students are back in class. Walz says school administrators across the state are right to be concerned. He says modeling by Mayo Clinic predicts an increase peaking around the third week of January, which will affect already strained staffing. After getting significant pushback, the CDC is considering additional guidance that those completing a 5-day COVID quarantine should also have a negative test before leaving isolation. Minnesota Nurses Association President Mary Turner is among those pushing for that.
We should try to follow science, and we should try to follow the health experts. And if we've got doctors that are on the front line and are saying that we need to do this, then that's what we need to do.
A man suspected of having a role in last week's shooting at Mall of America that left 2 people wounded has been arrested. Bloomington police say the 19-year-old St. Paul man was arrested in Roseville. The arrest took place at a motel. The man was seen leaving the mall with the shooting suspect and was arrested on possible charges of aiding and abetting, assault. Injuries to the 2 wounded men were not life-threatening. The final 2021 report on a monthly survey of business leaders in 9 Midwest and Plain states shows the region's economy continues to improve going into the new year, with confidence in the economy over the next 6 months soaring. The overall index for December of the Creighton University Mid-America Business Conditions grew to 64.6. Fargo-Moorhead, again, a winter storm watch tomorrow afternoon through Wednesday morning. KFGO meteorologist Tom Szymanski is looking for mostly cloudy overnight and about 2 degrees with steady or slowly rising temps then. Cloudy tomorrow, a chance of light snow tomorrow afternoon, some blowing snow in open areas, 16. Tomorrow night, windy, areas of snow and blowing snow, 2 below. Wednesday, mostly cloudy, windy, areas of blowing snow. Flurries should end in the morning on Wednesday, high of 2. Thursday, partly sunny and 8 below for the high. Fargo-Moorhead 5. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
This morning, when I was listening to the morning crew here on KFGO, Don Haney in the newsroom was talking about flights canceled, delayed, and in particular, he's talking about the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. But this is one of those top news items that's been going on for quite some time. I'm curious if there's going to be an end. If so, how far out is that? Here to explain all that and more, Kyle Potter. He is with Thrifty Travel joining us right now. Kyle, how are you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well as well right now. The stress that the industry of which you follow and report on that they're going through right now has got to be something unlike quite some time. I'm just curious, how are things going? Because following along on Twitter, things could be a lot better.
You know, it's not great. Yeah. These kinds of mass cancellations have been with us for a couple of months. But, throughout the summer and fall and into the winter, what we saw was, one airline would have some major problems. So American Airlines would cancel, hundreds of flights a day, every day for a week. And then the same thing happened with Southwest. And what's different now is that basically every single airline in the country, big and small, is canceling, hundreds of flights a day. And they have been now for the better part of a week. So things are pretty ugly. And, all of this says, if anyone is getting on a plane really anytime soon, for sure within the next week, is, to hope for the best, but really prepare for the worst, because odds are, a significant delay or even a complete flight cancellation may be affecting you.
I was looking online, and as we follow each other on Twitter, that just within the last hour, you say upwards of 2,800 flights canceled today. I mean, this the domino effect I imagine this has on just traveling altogether for families, businesses. Just how do you come back from this? I mean, is it just, all right, are people going to be renting cars and driving? I'm just curious, what are you hearing out there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of people are grappling with this right now because, for many people, they've been seeing these headlines nonstop over the course of the last, just 2 or 3 days. It has been a significant issue for more than, basically 2 weeks now, but it's really started to enter the public consciousness just within the past few days. So I bet we're going to see, there's always a drop-off in travel once we get past the new year and once people return home from their New Year's Eve trips. And even in the pandemic, that's no different. But I would bet that we're going to see an even more significant drop-off in, travel numbers nationwide as a result of people seeing these headlines and just, calling off a trip that they have coming off or rescheduling it, hopefully for a time when things have stabilized.
And I guess the question on people's minds, what's the biggest driving factor when it comes to these cancellations? Is it staffing issues? Is it weather? What's causing all these cancellations and delays, Kyle?
There's no question that weather is part of this. There are huge storms on the East Coast, dumping up to 10 inches of snow in Washington, D.C. today, and that's undeniable. Mm-hmm. And, that's not airlines' fault. But the biggest problem right now in particular is that airlines are incredibly short-staffed because their pilots and their flight attendants and other crew members have been infected with COVID because of this new fast-spreading Omicron variant. These airlines have said as much. And they've said that, they anticipate, several weeks more of similar looking problems just because, these infections are out of control right now. And there's not a whole lot that airlines can do to get staff back on the job faster. They did get, from the airlines' perspective anyway, some good news last week when the CDC halved the isolation requirements from 10 days down to 5 after a positive COVID case. But that's, it's clear now that alone is not going to be enough for airlines to get back to full strength and running their schedules on time.
Kyle Potter is our guest. He is with a Thrifty Traveler, and you can actually go online and check out his work there. You're right, when it comes to the weather, and, well, I guess quite frankly, when you have employees sick, that's not well within the control of the airlines, but it does impact, a number of people. I'm curious, are there measures they're taking to provide some comfort? I mean, are they giving reimbursements? How are they handling it to help those that were going to be traveling on their flights?
Well, one of the ironies of this situation is that by canceling flights one day, they're trying to limit further cancellations in the next. So the problem that happens with every single airline is that this has a snowball effect. You cancel a flight from Fargo down to Minneapolis because of weather or you don't have staff there. Well, then, you have staff in a plane that's out of place to make the flight from Minneapolis down to Dallas. And these things just compound. So what airlines are trying to do by proactively canceling flights is just try to buy a little bit of time to catch up and limit this from snowballing further. That's, potentially good news for travelers who have a flight, tomorrow, next week, whenever. The bad news is that if your flight does get canceled or delayed, travelers in this country have virtually no right. There's no guarantee to compensation if an airline delays or cancels your flight. There's not even a legal right to get a hotel room if an airline cancels your flight and leaves you stranded in your destination. The only real right that you and I have as travelers when we buy a plane ticket is either to get placed on the airline's next available flight, which, can be hours, sometimes even days away, or you can choose to cancel your reservation altogether and get a refund. You can actually get your money back, which, isn't a whole lot of comfort if you go to the airport at 8 a.m. and you find out that your flight is canceled and isn't going out for 2 days later. Getting your money back isn't going to do a whole lot to offset the cost of buying a ticket just 2 days in advance.
Well, and that goes to, I got calls and text messages coming in. This text, Tyler, a friend of mine is stuck at LAX. There are no rental cars available. So if you're in that situation, hey, here's your refund, but, good luck, especially if you're not from that area. It's just the stress that I think a lot of people are going through, including those in the industry. God, it's got to be mounting. I'm going to get to the phone lines and get Roy on with me. Roy, do you have a question for Kyle?
Yeah, I have a two-part question. The first one is the folks that are calling in sick that work for the airlines. Does the airlines have any way of checking whether they really are sick, or they just don't want to put up with the knuckleheads on the airlines that are acting out or are not vaccinated? And can the airlines institute a policy of you can't fly unless you're vaccinated and you wear a mask? I see pictures of people on the airlines not wearing a mask, and they're in the cabin, and the flight attendants have to put up with it. So that's my two-part question. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet. I'll let you listen off air there, Roy. I appreciate you calling in. Kyle, do you have any answers for him?
Yeah, they're good questions, Roy. I don't know to what extent airlines have kind of, measures to check on, whether their employees truly have contracted COVID and, require proof of a positive test result or anything like that. My gut says that that's not something that the airlines would spend a whole lot of time on. They have, especially right now, much bigger fish to fry than just double checking with their employees. As for, some of the additional measures, which I think Roy was asking just about the general flying public, there is a mask mandate in the country. It is a federal law, punishable with fines. There's no question, it's still up to, the flight attendants on board that flight to police it. And, with some of the, to borrow Roy's word, knuckleheads on board, some flight attendants are more willing to enforce it than others. So, your mileage is going to vary just based on who your neighbor is on that flight, if someone's going to be wearing a mask. For a vaccination mandate to fly, the Biden administration has been talking a little bit more loudly about this, about requiring vaccinations for domestic travel. If you're traveling internationally, you may need, proof of vaccination just to get in. For example, throughout much of Europe right now, you can't actually enter the country unless if you have proof of full vaccination. Domestically, I imagine what the Biden administration is looking at right now is what the legal blowback is going to be, and if that's going to hold up in court, and whether it's worth moving ahead with that. So that's a big question right now for sure.
Kyle, final question I have for you, and I don't know that there's really an answer, but if you had to predict when things might get back to more normal air travel, are you thinking 3 weeks, a month, or are we in this for the long haul here?
Hey, this is, I kind of have to knock on wood at my desk here. This is probably about as bad as it's going to get. We're kind of in the middle of a perfect storm right now of people being short-staffed due to COVID infections in the airlines and bad weather. I mean, we're in the middle of winter here. It's affecting most of the country right now. So I do think it's going to start to improve at some point. Certainly within a couple of weeks at the most would be my hope. But looking longer term, there still is a fundamental problem which runs underneath all of the cancellations that we've been seeing lately, which is that airlines are much smaller than they were before the pandemic. They downsized through retirement packages and voluntary exits and all of that. And now that travel has come back, pretty darn close to pre-pandemic levels, they're still not as big as they once were, and they're stretching themselves far too thin in order to try to sell as many seats as possible. So airlines haven't given themselves the wiggle room to recover when a storm happens, or when employees start calling in sick, or when mechanics go on strike, or when there's issues with air traffic control. This is the problem that we saw through the summer and the fall, with one airline after another melting down. And my concern is that even once we get past this, Omicron-driven wave of cancellations, we're still going to have that core problem. And I think that one in particular is going to be with us for a while.
Well, that's unfortunate, but not a whole heck of a lot we can do about it besides just kind of keep our head down, keep moving forward. Kyle, I appreciate you taking time and sharing your insight, man. You take care, and we'll chat again soon, all right?
Sounds great. Thanks, Tyler.
All right, thank you. Kyle Potter is with the Thrifty Traveler, getting all the latest there. Your thoughts, 3527. Again, have you changed your travel plans at all throughout this whole thing? Your messages coming in. I'll get back to those right after this here on KFGO.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Robertson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas Couch
790.
Potato Radio. Did you see that? From It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Right after this KFGO News.
Robertson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas Couch
790.
Potato Radio. Did you see that? From It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Pioneer House, offering you the independence of your own house with the convenience of extra assistance when needed.
Mostly cloudy, Fargo-Moorhead, 5 degrees. I'm Paul Jerkins. Vehicle thefts are nothing new this time of year, but when it gets quite cold, there is an increase in vehicle thefts. People are leaving their vehicles running with the key inside as they want to warm those vehicles up.
We average about a stolen vehicle a day. That's what we have for the last couple of years.
Fargo Police Lieutenant Jim Crangley, he says there's an unusual theft spike when the bitter cold hits, making those vehicles easy targets.
We're dealing with taking the report where they're stolen and also dealing with it when it's recovered. Hopefully we can recover the vehicle intact to give it back to the owner, but a lot of times you may have heard the phrase, drive like you stole it. Well, the thieves generally don't take very good care of the cars once they steal them.
Cringley says in many cases, the stolen vehicles are used in other crimes. A man suspected of having a role in last week's shooting at Mall of America that left 2 people wounded has been arrested. Bloomington police said the 19-year-old St. Paul man was arrested at a motel in Roseville. The man was seen leaving the mall with the shooting suspect and was arrested on possible charges of aiding and abetting assault. Injuries to the 2 wounded men were not life-threatening. Police are still looking for the main suspect. 5 degrees, this is KFGO News. Mostly cloudy, it's 5. This is KFGO News. Governor Walz says coronavirus cases due to the fast-spreading Omicron variant will most likely race through Minnesota public schools in the next few weeks now that students are back in class. Walz says school administrators across the state are right to be concerned. He says modeling by Mayo Clinic predicts an increase peaking around the 3rd week of January, which will affect already strained staffing. The State Patrol has located the SUV and driver that it believes struck and killed an 8-year-old girl last week in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. The investigation is continuing and the driver has not been arrested. Police are looking into why the girl was outside at the time she was hit, about 10:30 at night. It happened near her home. A 14-year-old boy from the Twin Cities who had been missing for 2 weeks has turned up in California. His 31-year-old mother and her boyfriend have been arrested. The mother's parental rights had been terminated. She and her boyfriend face kidnapping charges. The teenager and another child were taken into protective custody. A former Devils Lake fire chief who retired from that job last summer has announced his run for mayor. Jim Moe says his experiences have given him a unique perspective on city government, and he says he would like to continue to serve the citizens of Devils Lake as mayor.
I think I come with some qualifications that would allow me to have experience and knowledge of some of the inner workings of the city government and state government.
Devils Lake Mayor Dick Johnson announced earlier that he is not seeking re-election this year. KFGO Weather Center forecast. Fargo-Moorhead, we have a winter storm watch from tomorrow afternoon through Wednesday morning. Meteorologist Tom Shemansky is looking for anywhere from 1 to as much as 3 inches of snow in the local area. Tonight, 2 degrees under a mostly cloudy sky. Tomorrow, cloudy with that chance of light snow in the afternoon. Some blowing snow, also a possibility. High of 16. Tomorrow night, windy, areas of snow and blowing snow, 2 below 0. Mostly cloudy, windy for Wednesday. Still some blowing snow, flurries ending in the morning. The high of 2 and 8 below, partly sunny Thursday. Fargo-Moorhead, mostly cloudy, it's 5 degrees. Paul Jerkins, News Radio, KFGO.
Last week was a tough week. Madden and Betty White just 2 weeks short of her 100th birthday.
Yeah, and there were all those stories coming out about the big 100th birthday celebration that was planned. I mean, I think that'll still go on. But.
People magazine had it's weird. 2 figures that transcended generations, right? I mean, people as young as in their teens know Betty White. And people at the other end of that age spectrum grew up watching her on a variety of things, game shows, the Golden Girls. Why can't I think of Mary Tyler Moore's show? I mean, it just went on, and now it's just all the things that she was involved in, pretty jaw-dropping.
Two media icons that we're going to have to work real hard to get back to that level.
Yeah, I had a conversation this weekend not pitting, but like who had the more cultural impact, Betty White or John Madden, across, because both of them, it had so much that they really left behind.
Also, I don't think this gets talked about as much as it probably should, but the Golden Girls, all of them, that show, and Betty White specifically, were huge advocates for the LGBTQ community. And I don't, in a time where there were not a lot of those in media.
Nope. And they have pretty high profile in the way they did it as well. So adding that to the conversation. Derek Hansen, he'll be next. We'll recap the weekend. How was this? Such an uplifting Monday show. Flights canceled, contingency plans, a Vikings loss. It's all on the table. The final half hour underway here on KFGO.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall, Tom.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know. To me, it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years. And I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Every Monday at this time, Derek Hansen, the host of Couch Potato Radio, joins me. We recap the weekend that was in sports. Hi, Derek.
Hey, good afternoon.
Did you stay up all night watching that game, or did you punch out like I did?
Oh, I was very, of all the predictions I've made, and I'm not always right on them, I predicted on Joel's show on Friday morning. We gave the predictions. Well, maybe it was Thursday. for the big, whatever Jack Michaels calls it. What is it? Something we, it's
I've been a
it's
guest
version.
picker like twice, but I don't remember what they call it.
I said this is going to be a blowout. I'll be watching the Yellowstone season finale by halftime.
I recall you saying that, actually.
And that is, that prediction came true because I just, after you could see where it was going pretty quickly. It was weird, though. The Vikings had a little bit of mojo, I think. They were playing pretty well. They held the Packers to a field goal. They got the fourth down stop. But between those two things, it was weird how the Christian Darrisaw illegal man downfield
changed the whole.
It just it took it was like a balloon popped, and anything that the offense wanted to do after that. I don't think the Vikings would have won, regardless. No. I don't think the Vikings would have won if Kirk Cousins played last night. Maybe they get another touchdown because he's not the most mobile guy. That game, we can talk about Aaron Rodgers and Adams and all, Aaron Jones and all that on one side of the field, and Dalvin Cook, she got the ball more. You could have ran the ball 27 times. Both lines of scrimmage were dominated by the Packers. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even close. No. It was man amongst boys winning that. So
I've said this for a couple of weeks now, but last night's post game just solidified that. I mean, Mike Zimmer seems like he's been checked out. I don't remember what the loss was, where it's like, this is a man that knows that it's pretty well done. It was after the Detroit Lions loss.
Yeah.
The shoulders are just down. He's just kind of like, well, I guess they did all right. And then to throw Kellen Mond under the bus like he did, saying, well, I get to see him all week. You're like, that's your rookie quarter. What a confidence boost from your head coach.
Well, beyond that, though, what's so ridiculous about it is his quarterback situation this week was his starting quarterback would find out tested positive for COVID. Then his backup quarterback, who he wants to play, was out all week on the protocol. Mm-hmm. He didn't come back until Friday. So you didn't see Sean Mannion in practice until Friday. So, come on. How do you really know for sure? And I think you'd see with Carson Wentz and Mannion and all these guys, practice reps do matter because they were a little flat.
Yeah, and Carson in particular.
Right. Yeah. They were both just not, looking great when they played. So, and I think Mannion, it didn't matter. I think there's a handful of quarterbacks I could think of their prime that would have had a chance for the Vikings last night. They just Green Bay, I hate to say this, Viking fans, sorry, but I think they are very apt to win the whole thing this year. They seem to have the best defense. They're peaking at the right time, and they're going to be awfully tough to beat.
Yeah, you think about last year, one or two plays away from going to the Super Bowl and winning. It's, for all the back and forth between what seemed like early on when it comes to LaFleur as a head coach, who has, how many games has he lost in his tenure? Not very many.
No.
And that tension between him and Aaron Rodgers. Why would Aaron Rodgers want to go anywhere else? It seems like he's now just what he says goes. He can lie about being vaccinated. Everybody just moves on. He's going to be the MVP.
He was immunized.
Oh, sorry. Confused.
I think for, when you look at a situation like him, he kind of has everything. And I don't think him and LaFleur really had a problem. I think it was Gutekunst, the GM, and some of the guys they let go. And I think that was the big rub there. Now I don't know if they worked it out. He's pretty cryptic in his message last week. He won't take as long to decide what he wants to do. I do think that if they win the whole thing, we're talking about this on Jack Michael's Noon Show on our sister station. Instead of looking at maybe going to Pittsburgh with Roethlisberger leaving or try to, angle a trade somewhere, he might be done. If he gets the 2 Super Bowls and ties Bart Starr and, has one over Favre, he and his fiance may decide, let's just hang out in California. We don't need to sit up here in a town the size of Fargo and freeze our butt off.
Yeah, maybe Jeopardy. Maybe that gig won't work out for the other two.
Well, and I'm sure he has different options as well. I'm sure there's things out there that he could maybe do that we haven't even thought of that his agent is working on that we just don't know about. If he doesn't want to have the wear and tear. I think he enjoys playing. He certainly looks like he could play 4 or 5 years. It's crazy. He is so good. So
Zimmer done after Chicago's game?
I would think so. Yeah. I think the only question now is, does Rick Spielman go with him? And then you got to figure, if that's the case, then the new general manager, the new coach are going to decide the future of Kirk Cousins. I mean, I think it's got to go in that order, right? I think coach goes first, and then the Wilfs decide on Spielman, and then then the decision comes. Because I just can't believe that Kirk Cousins. Two things are going to happen with Kirk Cousins. He's either going to get traded, and then they got to figure out the contract, who pays what part of the salary. The new team pays. Because I don't know, they're not going to let him be over $40 million against the cap next year. It just doesn't make any sense. And if they cut him, they still have to pay him, but it's only $10 million against the cap. So you have more, room to go try to get other places. Then you got to figure out what you want to do at quarterback. So it's going to be kind of a domino effect after that. But I just think that when you look at, 7-10 or 8-9, and last year 7-9, and sneaking into the playoffs the year before and winning a playoff game, that was good. But then, falling apart after going to the NFC Championship game and not making the playoffs that year. It's just, this is what you got with Mike Zimmer. He just looks like he's, a 500 coach at this point.
Yeah. Messages coming in. One very sarcastic with a capital LOL. Maybe Rodgers would want to coach the Vikings. LOL. Tyler, does Zimmer stay as defensive coordinator? I don't see how he could keep that.
No,
that's a demotion. I just don't see it happening. I think
he's paid through. He'll get paid through next year. So I think he and his, 40-something model wife or gal or fiance or whatever she is would just sit in his ranch in Kentucky and hang out. I mean, I wouldn't work next year if you got paid to do it.
They're kick back. He hunts.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then you might go and try to be a defensive coordinator. It's a revolving door with these coaches. You see it all the time.
Yeah.
So
and I had mentioned with Joel made the mistake of coming in, just being in the studio when my show started.
I heard that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The level of, again, I don't know if nepotism is the right word, but you have family members all over this organization.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, you have to blow up the whole thing. Then it's not like, okay, I'm going to fire your father, but guess what, Johnny, you can stay.
No,
it's like everyone's going to be gone.
No, yeah, the new coach would want his new staff, but I think you're stuck in a world of mediocrity. And there's a team tonight that's playing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They don't fire a lot of people. They've
been there forever.
Well, they've had Chuck Noll. In my lifetime, they've had Chuck Noll. This is my lifetime here, coming up on 50 years old. Chuck Noll and Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin. Only 3 coaches. I mean, they're pretty steady Eddie, and they've are tied for the most Super Bowls ever. So that's pretty heady. That's pretty amazing stuff. So
I saw through the year people trying to say, "Oh, Mike Tomlin would be a great Vikings coach." I don't know where that rumor comes in, why they're throwing that out there. But does he have interest in leaving?
There's a little
Pittsburgh,
heat on him on Pittsburgh, and I think there's a lot of talk that maybe if he goes away from the sidelines, kind of wants to be a player personnel guy, kind of the GM type of thing. That's kind of what they're looking at, vice president of player personnel, be more of a front office guy than a guy on the sidelines. Those rumors are circulating, so I just don't know if that's going to be the case or not.
I was wondering how this was coming about. I can see that Eric Bieniemy, that offensive coordinator down in Kansas City, who for whatever reason has not landed a head coaching job. I mean, it obviously got an offensive mind. Look what he's done with that organization. I mean, maybe going to another Super Bowl this year. We don't know, but that's somebody I would have on my radar, whether that's Minnesota.
Yeah, it's weird that he hasn't.
I don't know what the holdup is.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. Does he not have a good interview process? I mean, that was the knock on Zimmer, why it took so long for him, because he was just so blunt in his interviews, And so is that something? I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where I think if you're looking at a guy like that with that type of offense, and you have a scrambling quarterback like Kellen Mond, would that be a good marriage, having Bieniemy come from that type of offense and trying to do that with Kellen Mond? I don't know. And then maybe he and the new general manager just think Kellen Mond's not going to work. So there's so many layers to this.
It'll be an interesting offseason for Minnesota Vikings.
So the Vikings came out and they put out their COVID list today because the Monday test positive things. And so here's your starting lineup against Akeem Hicks, who's owned the Vikings for the past years. Ezra Cleveland's on the list. O'Neal is on the list, your right tackle. And then Darisaw, the rookie left tackle, is on the list. So it could be ugly. Maybe 7 and 10 in a quick hurry
Yeah.
with that situation. And we don't know if Kirk Cousins, how he's feeling.
That's the thing. I haven't heard anything from him.
And so we don't know how he's feeling or whatever. Nick Vigil out with COVID last week too, so they don't have their third linebacker. It actually hasn't been a bad pickup from the Chargers, as some of the stuff he's done. Yeah, it's a mess. And then speaking of linebackers, Eric Kendricks also made the list. And I don't think I know. Of course, everything's the same now as far as the 5 days and symptoms, but you just don't know. I know he was one of the early ones who said that he wasn't vaccinated, so it's just kind of crazy with the way that's going. But the 3 of your 5 starters on linemen to be on this, and it's Monday, so they could maybe return, but then again, they're not practicing all week. So.
Yeah. You got more time. I got to get a weather update. We'll talk about that winter classic.
I'm here till 6:30.
You got all the time in the world.
Yep.
Derek Hansen, host of Couch Potato Radio. We'll get you this weather update from Toot Pell Tom. We'll close that afternoon's live for Monday next.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. The hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Why do I like ice fishing